Okay, welcome back to another, I guess, our second episode together, I suppose, of our second live stream. Um, Thank you, Valis, for joining us. I am Vexing Cat, and my lovely guest here is Kitten for Cuddles. And today we will be discussing the recap of our most recent session of Wild Seas on Terra. So real quick intro. Vexing Cat, I do a variety of audio work. I'm starting to get into Twitch streaming. Um, I'm very excited or I'm very excited to see where this goes, and I am having a lot of fun learning a lot along the way. So, today we will be talking about our most recent D&D session on Fantasy Grounds. Fantastic application, by the way. And I'm going to turn the mic over to Kitten, and you can take it away. And if you could just give me a quick introduction.
Quick introduction about me. Um, so I am not a voice actor, although I would like to dabble in the future. I'm more of a gamer. I have known Vex here for a few years, met her lovely self in person. But I too am also getting into the streaming platform. So I was streaming on YouTube when I was doing Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and now I've switched over to add some onto Twitch. I have a few of our old D&D episodes up on YouTube as well, but we'll probably end up streaming them live here on Twitch and then adding them to YouTube afterwards. So that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So quick, I'll just talk about my character, and then we can talk about your character, and we can talk about our most recent session. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Awesome. So I play a fighter with some rogue in her, named Grace O'Malley, based off the historical pirate figure that was out of Ireland. Um, I believe was the 17th century. I'd have to double check the dates on that. But she is charismatic. She is a little bit crazy. She has a tendency to like double tap things to make sure that they stay down, which has earned the nomer, of course, coup de grace instead of coup de grace. Uh, so our most recent session, we did a recap a little bit before the session started, but I'm pretty excited to see where we're going in this campaign, and this is the longest we've been on our ship in continuity. So, once again, Grace, fighter, rogue, pistol, rifle, rapier. Take it away, Isabel.
Okay, so I'm not going to give away everything about Isabella because I haven't really given away a lot in the stream, but she is a high elf druid. She has some trauma in her background, but part of that trauma allows her to then see this world as a little bit different. So when things are big, bad, and scary to some here, it's like, nah, it's just a normal day. She has a pet cat who has wings, and his name is Nibbles. He is the captain of the ship. She also has a familiar named Biscuit, who is a giant stoat. Well, it can shrink, can go to a mini size and a large size, and is very handy. And both have no concept of personal space, so they will just invade people's personal space and be like, "Yo, feed me." Or sleep on them, or be like, I deserve some scratches. So I'm really excited to play it. I don't have a lot of those physical weapons. I think my main weapon, if you were going to count it, is Thorn Whip, which is a spell, and I like the magic and the mysticism. So she's not really as much into physical items. She does have a whip on her, although I've brought it up 0 times in the actual campaigns, like a physical one. Um, so we'll see if it ever comes out and how I can relay more information about my character in the other sessions.
I'm really excited to have OBS actually capture my microphone. That's a big one. But I'm really excited to see the development of your character. Grace is kind of simplistic. She does have a good backstory, but again, we just haven't really had opportunity to kind of develop that yet. In our campaign, but I do feel like given the most recent events of our role play with our nemesis Magellan, I feel like it might have opened the rest of our compatriots' eyes and what can be done and what we're obviously more than capable of doing besides just murder, 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 murder. All of
Agreed.
the murder, you know? Let's see here. uh so I guess I'll talk a little bit about the summary, and then if you want to tell me a little bit about what you enjoyed, I can kind of like dabble in. So for
Mhm.
session 10, we were coming off like a major bombardment of the island that we rescued all the villagers on. We're sailing along the seas. I do need to get the specs on that as far as Valis, do you know offhand what the name of the seas that we were on? If not, we were in the East Blue. Um, but so we found out that Magellan was responsible for the poisoning. Excellent, thank you for that. Magellan was in real time. He was the one that was responsible for poisoning the island, the populace, and he was there at the direction of Garp, who was his superior, who told him to go there to capture the runaway pirates. Now, I was left feeling a little confused because these just seemed like innocent villagers to me. But we were told, yes, Stan, thank you, Carp. Um, we were told that, this is a regular island, regular villagers, but he was told that these are runaway pirates. That kind of set up an interesting scenario where like, well, what's going on with this? Like there's a dichotomy there. I'm going to have to talk or have Grace talk to the elders and get a little bit more in the situation. It looks like okay. Now, during the session, I was able to talk to Henrik and get an inventory of the supplies that they brought on the ship, which included a number of barrels of pickled fish, which I thought was highly amusing. And then we had like 3 weeks worth of water for 6 people. That number has been, 10 times that number is on the ship now. So we need to um, have our two, on staff druids make more water. Thankfully, that's a possibility. And then supplement our food with good berries and fish that we can capture because we were originally on a 4-day course to Syrup Village, but it's due to a incoming storm that we had to go around. We added an additional like 4 days to our trip, which may or may not go up or down depending on weather. But we did use Operation Honeypot and interrogated Magellan at the end of last session. Um, where we discovered that there was a snail hidden in his beard, essentially tracking his every movement and or relaying what was being said around Magellan to whoever is on the receiving end. I would assume it was Admiral Garp. But we did find out that whatever it was, this tablet that he found, that was covered in symbols, was what was sent back to the rest of the Marines. So we don't know what it was, what it's symbols of. It's a very crude drawing, so no idea what it is we're looking at. But I just wanted to know, what were your thoughts and what did you enjoy about the session, Kitten?
I enjoy definitely more of the character development instead of just fighting. Because when we fight, I'm scrolling through the spells and flipping through my prepared spells to be like, would this be good to use? What about this one? What are my limitations on this and the distance on that? Because I just don't have it memorized. And I like the thought processes that are involved in the role play and the talking it out rather than just fighting. Um, I loved the Operation Honeypot. I thought it was hilarious. It was fun to take part of. You whipped right into it and were fantastic, and it was overall fun. And I know I don't have my actual camera on, but my arms and hands were moving as I talked and did my interrogation the whole time, which is what drew Wiggles, my real life cat, over to be like, "Pay attention to me," and hop up on my lap mid game. Um, what else did I like about it? I loved that we got to have Nibbles show off that he's the captain again and have a reaction from um, one of the villagers being like, "Okay, so that's funny. Where's your actual captain?" Like, "Nope, this is the captain. Speak to the captain with respect." Um, and then, as you mentioned before, I thought the pickled fish was funny, like revolting and gross, but funny still.
And I gotta say, Henrik really played, like, our DM really played into the role of Hendrik and just, like, told me all about the pickled fish and that, like, once you open it, you gotta eat it or else, it's gonna go bad and then you're gonna have to throw it overboard and you don't want to waste food and just, like, the whole thing. And it was so good. And I really enjoyed Operation Honeypot. Honestly, it was the silence from the rest of our campaigners and like our
Mhm.
DM like playing it up and like you know doing the whole accent and everything for Magellan while we're like, oh my, what are we doing here? I don't know, and just total ditzy. It was fantastic. Kind of a departure
Was.
from our normal like not stoic, but a little bit more like obviously uh intelligent characters.
Mhm.
Like, oh, you're so big and strong, and oh, I love your great bushy beard, and you you couldn't even stay character because you're just like bleh, bleh, just couldn't
I am
handle it. It
not
was
a
so good.
fan of beards. I have my reasoning. It's mainly because, like, one, they're scratchy. Two, they get food stuck in them, and then people kind of like wipe their beard like with one or two swipes, and there'll still be food there. And there's so many germs, and there's like a thing. I think it's called beard rash. It was posted about a few years ago, and then they brought it up again last year. And I'm like, see, you can have germs in your beard. Gross. Um, but unfortunately, that is the style. A lot of people like them right now, so that's unfortunate for me and my preferences. But the thought of, like, reaching in, that like, delicately touching and
Parting,
running your hands through
parting the
hair,
sea of beard
oh,
to get it to
it's
us.
so
Yep,
bad.
it was funny. Don't worry,
Yeah,
all beard situations I will handle from here on out. Don't you worry. Like
I
conceptually,
appreciate
yep,
that.
no problem.
Yeah. But I also, so a few things. I was concerned on the pickled fish thing where he's like, "You'll gotta throw everything, including the barrel overboard," and everything in me was like, "No, save that barrel," because I do that in Baldur's Gate 3. I collect everything, and then I sell it for gold or whatever, but I'm like, "No, we can reuse that barrel. We can clean it out. Don't you throw a barrel overboard." Um, what was the other
No
thing? Oh, and the
barrels left
guys,
behind.
no barrels left behind. Um, what was it? The guy's silence. Yeah, I could not tell if they were like interested or if they're gonna be like, that was the dumbest thing I ever heard, or what their reactions were. And I'm sure that there'll be some talk about it before game next time too. But I enjoyed it. I was really excited because I hadn't planned on using that spell um to talk to Magellan. I had been planning on being like, let's torture this guy, you know?
Bring out the
Um,
thumb screws. Let's go. Yeah, just hot
yeah.
iron poker. We saw how well that worked with the cappuccino machine, and then you'd mentioned that charm spell, and I was like,
Mhm.
man, I wonder if we could do like I haven't had the conversation with him yet. I haven't interrogated him. Why don't we try a little honeypot on the side? Like, he just wants to be seen, right? That was what he had said. And it's like,
Oh,
well, he probably
yeah.
wants to be seen by women. It's hard being the man on top in a prison full of like inmates and
Mhm.
terrible people. So
And
doesn't get a lot
Marines,
of
you gotta
action.
just be tough. Yeah. And I felt bad when he was saying that. I was like, "Oh, man, we're all he wants is love and attention, and we're gonna take this dude out." But at the same time, it's you have to think of the character. She's not as forgiving as that, and she may empathize, but it's not gonna stop me from doing what I need to do.
That's fair.
I am glad we found that snail tracker though, because if
Yeah.
not, I'm
God
sure
only
sure
knows.
the DM would have been like, and suddenly you see a ship approaching and it keeps following you. Like, oh no,
Well,
we're
one
having
thing to
trouble.
consider is the smaller the snail, the smaller the range. So there's a very good possibility that that tiny little snail that we found might have been going to a ship that was hidden in that storm. So,
Mm.
metagaming a little bit, we, depending on what Giuseppe does with the snail, which I don't know that he's ever worked on one before, so he could very easily accidentally make the snail no longer functional,
Oh,
technically.
poor little snail. Yeah.
Poor thing. But if that's not the case, we could have like maybe we could reverse track use it as a reverse tracker and see where it's leading. Um Worst case scenario, we're probably going to have to pitch it overboard. So it's like, what are we doing with, Magellan pitching him overboard? What are we doing with the snail? Also pitching him overboard. It would be really
Making a
funny.
little making a little paper sailboat and putting him on, being like, best of luck, you did nothing wrong.
Godspeed. Do your best. Little plank with a little fake sail. See how far he goes.
I'm picturing Gary from SpongeBob.
Without finding the snail, Inigo Montoya. You're
Uh-huh.
sure? Nobody follow us. Yes. Yes, we are sure. Um no metagaming from the DM here.
Yeah.
Let's see. I have to say, as far as the platform goes, I've really enjoyed Fantasy Grounds. I mean, I've been using it on and off again for a number of years, but I I like the way that their system works. I like the like integration to like the theme. The DM can change what he wants, like the overall theme. Do you want to have dark, scary Cthulhu? Do you want to have like a wooden kind of like pirate ship feel? Do you want to have like more of a natural, like druidic plant like setting? He can change all that. And then if he wants to upload maps or characters or like anything he can. One of these sessions we need to get him in here and he can tell us all about all the special details of Fantasy Grounds. Um, I'm hoping that with the changes, well, get on my soapbox, the changes with Unity, I'm hoping that in the future, um, I believe that Fantasy Grounds will still be able to make it despite the changes within that game engine. Let's see here. Uh,
Yeah. And
Overall,
one
I'm. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say one thing that you kind of touched on that I really like about Fantasy Grounds is that you can enlarge the image on your side because I know a lot of the times I have a hard time seeing if I'm staring at a shared screen to see text, to see images, and the fact that everyone can independently zoom in, zoom out, make things larger is really helpful. And it's also, not only that, but when you roll and it'll tell you fail or pass, or it'll do the math for you. I'm like, this is fantastic. All I really have to do is just choose which spell I want to use or choose which action I want to do. Super nice.
Just roll your dice to see if it hits with add your
Uh-huh.
modifier and it does all the math for you. If it hits, then, do your effect. And then
Right.
I really like that like you can toggle between who is targeted. So if you want to do like a group heal, you just untarget your enemies. You can target you and your crew and up to however many members you can heal simultaneously. If you're doing like a special totem effect that'll affect everybody's like accuracy or their speed, etc. I really like the integration. I've used Roll20 before, but I have to say Fantasy Grounds is better. I just think that it's a better platform to use and it's easier to work with. Let's see here. Look at my list. So,
I think since we went
overall,
over the pros, it's now cons.
yeah, I think the cons right now, I think are more player-based cons. Um, I really like the group of people that we're playing with, but I just wish people would dedicate more time to being on time. That's a that's a big one. That would be really nice to make sure everybody's there on time at session. Um, Secondly, I think I'd like to see more roleplay coming out of them, to be honest. I'm genuinely excited to find out how they felt about Operation Honeypot at next session. I'd like to see
Right.
what they bring to the table now, knowing that you can definitely do more roleplay. Uh, so those are probably my two biggest complaints. It's just being on time and like more roleplay engagement.
Agreed. I really wished that we could have used some of the, I forget the Star Druid, Ray. Ray's character's abilities with that fog cloud, and he joined late, and I was like, "Can he see something?" And got told, "Well, I don't want to do anything without him actually here." And I was like, "Ah!" But valid point. It makes it hard to do some things like in not session 10, but session 9, where uh, Dingo came a little bit late, and it was like we could have really used him in the fight, just to make it a little bit more even. But it is what it is. You got to roll with the punches, and that's what we're doing. I also agree. I enjoy the role play part of it. Um, I want to learn more about the backstories of the characters. I was trying to set up little sessions with people to where we could just role play as if we were sitting on the ship, just talking in a cabin to find out more about them. And I only had one person give me a little bit of information, but he was close to where he was falling asleep, so I only got a little bit. But it was still nice to have, and I adore my character, and I want to bring up her backstory and more about her, and I want to get to know more about the members of the crew, because then that gives you more of an involvement. It's less of, oh, here's a bunch of people thrown on a ship and they'll fight. It's more of, this is a crew and they watch over each other. Because in session 8 or 9, where they were fighting, it started with some people heard gunshots and not everyone did. And the two people that heard that made the perception roll just left the building, and I'm not going to metagame, so I'm not just like, oh yeah, let me go follow them too. I instead I had to be like, oh yeah, I guess they're just going to go do guy stuff, whatever they normally do that, because it wouldn't be fair if I was like, yeah, I follow them out to see where they're going. I wouldn't do that in real life. If we were at a party, Vex, you just decided to bounce, I'd be like, I wonder where she's going, but I generally wouldn't follow you. Um, so it will be nice when we're more of a cohesive team and we know more of what each other can do. So that way we can plan, fight, um, overall coexist better.
Yeah, that
Um,
makes a lot of sense. I just like from the get-go at the beginning of session 10, it didn't feel like I had opportunity to like step away because it's like, oh shoot, we got to feed these people. What do we
mhm,
have? What can we use? How's the dragon? We got this earth dragon on the back of the boat. It's like, is he okay? I really don't want him to start eating these poor people. So there were just other
right.
concerns that seemed to kind of pull us away from being able to like sit down and chat. And that's a bummer, but I think next session now knowing that we can really go all out with the voices and the role play and like actually, spend more time doing it, it'd be great. Rather
Mhm,
than like, shit, we gotta do this, we gotta do this, we gotta do this. We've got a head of steam on our boat, which is the SS Macchiato. Shout out to the SS Macchiato. I don't have a picture of it, but I will get one for our next recap. Um, but it is a lot of fun playing. We play bi-weekly. I would love to play more. But sometimes life happens. We're going into the fall season. I know my schedule is starting to open up during the summer though. Here it's just like every other weekend going to a barbecue, or I'm gonna go to a cabin, or I'm going hiking, or I'm going, on a scenic drive somewhere. It's like every weekend. Feels like I've got something going on during the summer. Whereas now here we are moving into that colder time where things are quieting down. I don't think I have any other plans for trips to any remote cabins. I try to keep things open. I've got a couple of friends that plan things last minute, so then I have to adjust my plans last minute. But I usually like things well in advance. Like I know my mom is going to have another barbecue in the second or third week of October. And then I will know that that is a weekend that I can't do for D&D, and I will try to make sure I will see if I can adjust her plans cuz our next session being on the 1st. I'm going to see if I can adjust her plans so that it's that interim middle week, like maybe the 8th, so that way I can, play D&D with you guys without interruption, cuz driving all the way into the main city and then driving all the way back is it's a bit of a pain trying to be here before 9 p.m. EST, because that's when we host typically, is the 9 p.m. EST slot for our D&D sessions. Big fan, big fan. Let's see here. Notes. So I think we talked about what we'd like to see, the cons, what we'd like to see different in sessions moving forward. Um, I guess we can uh think about what potentially could happen next session. My character is going to be worried about that storm. I don't know if it's following us. I have to watch it. Um, I don't know if we can outpace it, and I don't know what's in said storm, if we're being followed. We have that miniature transponders now. These are things I need to worry about. Um, morally, I don't know that Grace really cares one way or another about the state of affairs for Magellan. He's currently a prisoner, but he tried to kill a bunch of people and he ordered his men to hurt all of us, and I can't really kibosh with that. But now he's safely secured in Sea Prism Stone handcuffs, and he can't do any more harm to himself or to others. So part of me just wants to put him on a small raft and just put him out to sea and let Mother Nature take its course.
Um, I feel because I don't know a lot about the world, the whole One Piece world, um, and where he is on the real food chain. I hear little bits and pieces and like locations and all this stuff. I fear that if we let him go, he will then turn around and come back after us at one point or another. All the vengeance. Um, he has done a lot of bad. He was ready to kill every single villager with the bombardment and with his soldiers, and he's a noble guy in his mind, but he's a bad guy in my character's mind because there was just no real provocation. And if he really thought that it was an island full of um, pirates, then why didn't they just surround with a whole bunch of ships, capture the pirates, throw them into jail? Why would it be destroying? I don't think he's a good guy, and I don't think that it will make Isabella not sleep at night to just off him. So if someone needs to take the lead and take him out, I can, will. I I again I would really fear if we let him go that he would then hunt us down afterwards.
Yeah. I think realistically, the question becomes, do we want to coup de grace him and just night night,
Yeah.
you're done? Or do we want to man him up for justice with um are like stowed away, villagers. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure, but I feel like we will have to have a discussion about that because
Right. And
he needs to
so
face justice.
right. And if we do end up taking him out, as much as I start talking about how I can use the drown spell on him, I would rather him have just a quick death. Just
Oh yeah.
have
I
it
mean,
over with.
if I yeet him in the sea, he's still gonna drown, but I'm not the one responsible for filling up his lungs, That's Mother Nature.
My worry is if we drop him in the sea, something will happen. Maybe some fish will swallow him like Jonah and the whale. Maybe there's some fish people underneath that are waiting, following the ship that could then grab him and take him. And I don't want to risk that. I want to make sure if we're going to kill him, that he is dead. And then we can get those cool gauntlets that he was wearing too. And we get the sea prism cuffs back too. Because if we just tossed him in the ocean, if we unhooked him from those cuffs and the gauntlets to then throw him over, what's the chance of he then fights and shoots out a whole bunch of poison and stuff?
Yeah, that's fair. Well, it's the sea prism stone has the same effect as ocean water does. So like this is
Mhm,
metagaming here. So if someone with devil fruit powers touches seawater, that's when they basically their powers stop working and they are like at 2% strength. They are just
mhm,
completely reduced down to mush. Let me just read back here. So Valis mentioned, to be fair, he said that you're going to have a bounty, but it's higher depending on what you do, and not necessarily that he would be coming after us specifically. If we kill the man, our bounties will be higher. If we set him go, he may or may not come after us in the future. I mean, he's supposed to be running a prison. The fact that they sent him on this mission in the first place seems kind of out
mhm.
of character, but that's more metagaming than anything.
Right. And how much did he relay information about us to anyone to make our bounty higher?
Yep.
Like they bombarded the island. He could have died in the island for all they know. We don't know
No,
how much was picked up by that transponder.
it's true. We don't know what the distance, what was picked up, what's being relayed. There's a lot of unknowns, and I don't like unknowns. I just want things to be like straightforward, simple. Like, do I murder you or not? Okay, yes, no, all right, we move on and call it a
Mhm.
day. It'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see how like how we role play in the future, like how
Mhm.
we're gonna actually role play with the food, um, how like our next battle and what that's going into. I mean, we're headed to the Grand Line. So we're in the East Blue, which is on if you look at a map of One Piece, it's like the northeast section. So we are moving our way down. So there's kind of an interesting overlap between our world as we're in it and also like parts of like the Sword Coast details and those details being added into um, our world. But um, I don't know what's going to happen to Magellan, but it's probably not going to be good. I think we do have to do more fishing. We got a bunch of people on the ship, and they behaved the first night, but they were all probably worn out and tired and hungry. I don't know how they're going to be tomorrow or the next at our next session during the
Mhm.
day.
And just to confirm, because I brought it up a little bit in the game, if they had powers, like if there were clerics or druids or whatever, they wouldn't have been on that island, right?
Probably not.
Okay. It's just it would be really nice to have some extra, people that could do the create, destroy water and um, good berries and whatnot. But
Well,
none of
it'll
them have magic.
it will be good to talk to these individuals, like get a little bit more of their backstories. Clearly, child, and commoner maybe not having much backstory, but Danica probably does, or um, Henrik does, or Cyrus, who's going to put us on that side quest for his grandson Nathaniel. Like
Mhm.
There are individuals that we can find out more information. Magellan was told they're pirates. We assumed they're just regular people. That
Right.
conversation needs to be had.
Yep.
So I think we could get more insight on the people. We still need a full description of Nathaniel Cyrus. No idea what he looks like. I am
Yep.
concerned that his grandfather has, one shoe and one not shoe, and the not shoe is a duck foot. It's very strange. Um,
Messed with
so,
Baba Yaga too much. She was
yep.
trying to make him into a chicken house.
Let's see. Read
Valid.
read this
Yep.
here. So, very much a campaign with the stories based around how much of the world would be different if X thing was different. In this case, this is a world in where Luffy, Straw Hat Luffy himself, was never born. So there's going to be a lot of things that are altered, like the trajectory of various pirates, the emperors, all of the like mechanics within the government. All of these things are potentially going to be different, but we don't know what's different, and so we're going to play that out and figure it out. Um,
Yeah. Although um I've only watched one episode of the anime, and then I watched all of the live action One Piece. So a lot of this world dynamics that you guys know, it's all Greek to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
I would like tie you to a chair and make you watch it, but it's 1,000+ episodes, not including the hour+ long movies. It's it's a slog. It's a lot of
That's okay.
content. It's a lot of
Yeah,
content.
it's my character has not been out in the ocean world so much, so it's okay for her to not know everything about it.
That's
She's
fair.
had her own missions and stuff. I just I wish I wasn't the only one who is a stranger to all this.
I mean, to be fair, I'm pretty sure Giuseppe, like played by Dingo, he doesn't have any background with One Piece either. He's flying just as blind as you are.
Yeah.
Oh, for context, it looks like we're going to Syrup Island, which we talked about. I thought it was Syrup Village. My bad. And that apparently is the island that Usopp in the original One Piece series is from. For
Mhm.
context, for you, kitten, Usopp is he is a liar. He is boastful, but he's the most amazing sniper the game or like the story's ever seen.
YouTube likes to suggest a lot of videos about him, saying that he is a fortune teller and every lie he's told comes true.
Yeah, I've seen some fan stories and fan theories about that. Some of the funniest moments in all of One Piece have involved like Usopp accidentally doing something and it working to their benefit.
Mhm.
Like Luffy's like destroy that and then he sends a fire star and blows up the world government flag. And it's like, is that what you meant to do? And just like, yep, sure was. Or later on like on Dressrosa, which is another arc. Um there is a character that turns people into toys. And when she passes out, her powers stop and people
Mhm.
return back to normal. So Usopp like frightens her so badly with his face that
Oh
she
god.
passes out. And he doesn't do it just
Wow.
once, but twice. It is in this arc of this series of episodes. It is one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen, and it haunts me. It's so fucking funny. It
Man, it's
genuinely
gotta
haunts
haunt
me.
him too, having someone pass out at the sight of your face. Oh,
A
it's like
visit.
the reactions to Weird Barbie.
Yep. His visage is actually plastered on the wall of the palace where like the second time she was walking out, cuz she had just woken up and then
Mhm.
he scared her again and then the image is now imprinted onto the wall that he sent. It's incredible. I'll see if I can track that
Nice.
down. Um but let's see here real quick. I think that's kind of just about everything for today. Um, not a lot of action. I wasn't expecting to see a lot of traffic about this particular subject. I'm really happy to see that Stan made it back, and of course, Valis, always glad to have you. Um, I'm
Well,
not sure
great to
who
see
our
you guys.
mystery talker is. Doesn't show me who's
The
here, but
mystery
not.
viewer, probably me. I'm watching
Could
the
be.
stream.
Oh,
And
that
then
would do
I'm
it.
watching. Yep. I'm
That would do
I'm
it.
seeing the no mouth movements. And then I'm like, but I'm talking. And then I'll see the delay. I'm like, oh yeah, it's me.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Okay.
So next session, session 11 is going to be on your stream rather than my stream.
Yep.
And you mentioned already October 1st at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yes. And we'll do another session. It'll be the 1st, the 15th, and the 29th. Those are what we're shooting for. It'll actually be 3 next month. I'm really excited about that because we
Yeah,
don't always get 3 in 1 month.
yeah. My availability in November/December, the end of November, early December may be limited because I do have some life events going on, and I
Hmm.
have to take my car in for recall software update.
We can always like
3 months
push
away.
forward or pull back a week or something because I know you've got those IRL stuff things that are happening. Also,
Mhm.
Thanksgiving's a thing. Christmas is a thing. The holidays not
New
being,
Year's, yeah.
notwithstanding, things will get a little bit tighter, I think, during those 2 months, but should open back up to twice a month again in January.
Mhm. And then we can just alternate between your stream and my stream.
That's if we're not also doing other things like playing Baldur's Gate together. We could do that.
Yes,
We
absolutely.
can. There's a number of other games that you and I both have that we can play cooperatively, like this. What were you talking about earlier today? Something about like together. Something together was like two characters and they have different
It takes
powers.
two.
It takes two. I'd like to
Yeah,
check that one out. I think that would be a fun one for us to both play.
yeah. And I think it's free on Xbox Game Pass, but I bought it through Steam.
Okay,
And
I'll have
then
to check
if
that
the
out.
ones that I threw you bookmarks to come out, like I'm hoping Spirit Tea had something, and then maybe Witchbrook might have a release. I don't know. It always says coming soon, and I don't know how soon coming soon actually is. And then whenever it's released, the Haunted Chocolatier, the basically not sequel, but same creator as Stardew.
Mm-hmm.
If that
I've
comes out, I'd
I'm
love to
looking
play
forward.
that.
All of the ones you just rattled off, I'm really excited about. I'm mostly
Hmm.
excited to see when Spirit Tea finally goes live. I know that
Hmm.
they updated their demo somehow. I don't know if that means more of the game or if it's like less. I'm not sure. But it is a beautiful little, like, Stardew like game, and it's really cute.
Yeah. I launched it after work today, and it looks like it erased my save file when it sent the new update or the new version. So I was going to play that sometime this week because it wasn't a long demo. It's not like it took a whole day of gaming, it was just a few hours. But one update that I was reading in there was that you get to talk to every single character in the town. And I'm like, okay, because I talked to like three.
Fair enough.
Mhm.
Fair enough. Okay. Well,
Um,
is there any final words you want to get out there or talk about before we wrap this up?
Not really, just thank you for having me on. I like the recap, so if we can do this again after the next session as well, that would be really great.
Yep, we can do the inverse. So next session, I stream it during the session, and then the recaps on your side. So that way we're getting that back and forth flow.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, thank you guys, everyone who stopped by. Stan, Valis, we appreciate you. I hope you both have a great afternoon and or evening, and we'll catch you in 2 weeks when we have our next major session. All right. We'll catch you later.